I was extremely fortunate to have Aytekin Tank with me on the show. And many of you probably know who Aytekin is. He is the CEO and founder of a company called Jotform, 20 million users globally. Jotform is, if you don't know who they are, if you go to your tech department and say, do we use Jotform? You're going to find that you do. They are just an ingredient brand that's baked into so many of the processes that we do inside of our organizations. And Aytekin has a new book that just came out, and it's all about eliminating busy work inside your business. It's an important read. I'm reading it right now. It's very influential, and I really like the ideas and perspectives that Aytekin has, as well as how he has transformed his world as a CEO and how he manages his time through automation and how that has made him a better business person. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode. In the end, we start to talk a little bit about how AI can really get into this, but we talk a lot about that time management and automation piece here. The piece that you need to be started on right now is that AI will come. It will be part of the language when you get into next year as more and more innovations roll out around AI. But for right now, you've got to start thinking about automating your processes and gathering all of the divergent information that is out there in multiple different places, bringing it all together so that when the AI revolution truly hits, you are on the forefront. Here we go. Aytekin Tank with Jotform. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited today. I have Aytekin Tank with me from Jotform. And Jotform's been doing automation for 15 plus years, about as long as I have been doing it. I'm really excited to have Aytekin with me today because I think he's going to give us a perspective, not just on where AI is going, but how automation has really become a global sensation. Aytekin, thank you so much for being here.
Hello, Derrick. Yeah, it's great to be on your show. I'm really excited about it.
Well, I'm excited to have you. And I have to admit, I was even listening to some of your book this morning, and I'm thinking, this guy's just we're so on the same wavelength, because I think so many times, and I want to set this up a little bit, I talk about this a lot on this show and when I'm out talking to CEOs, that in every organization, you've got inputs and outputs and outcomes, but it seems like everybody forgets about the throughput. Everybody forgets about how the sausage actually gets made. And, that's the industry that you and I are in, of making sure that you automate your workflows, that you find ways to digitize them where possible, and you eliminate that sort of need for the old-timey, old-fashioned approaches to the way that you do work.
Yeah.
Maybe you could tell folks a little bit about Jotform if they're not familiar. I mean, you've got millions of users. You've been around for a long time. If they don't think they're using Jotform, somebody in your tech department probably is. Let's just be honest. I mean, you're pretty much everywhere. But look, maybe you could tell us a bit about the backstory and how you came up with this and what Jotform does.
So I started Jotform 17 years ago. So it was 2006. It's been a while. And before Jotform, I was working for this internet company, media company. And one of my duties, I was a developer. So I was a programmer. And one of my duties was to create forms. And I actually didn't like it much. Like, I wanted to find a product so that I can actually, automate this. And I couldn't find one. So, I quit my job and I started building Jotform. And it turned out like millions of other people also needed help with the forms, and the rest is history. Jotform has grown, but basically what we do is we help people automate things, and forms are kind of a way to automate things. So basically, when you create a form, if you don't have a form, like, you have to communicate with people. Like, let's say you are a school administrator, and people need to apply for things, register for things, communicate things to you, contact you. And if you create forms for all these different types of things, you can actually streamline all this. And whatever you do after that, you can also streamline that. And one of our goals at Jotform was not just, help people create forms, but also help people with the rest of their journey. Like, whatever is happening rest of the way, can we help them automate all those things? Like, do they need an approval? Do they need to generate a document? So I've been doing all this like for 17 years. But one of the challenges I had, especially during the first years of Jotform, was as my company started growing, I had this challenge. You know, I was so busy. Like I think it was around like 5 people. We had like 5 people, but we had like a lot of customers. So I was spending all my day in emails. I was doing accounting, HR, legal, ordering supplies for the office. I was doing all these things. And right at this moment, like, uh, you know, I thought to myself, like, is this it? Like, am I going to be like this? Am I going to be like this admin, that like I cannot improve my product because I'm, buried in busy work. Like this is not supposed to happen. And I was thinking of that. And right at this moment, something has happened. Like that was like a turning moment for me. Google actually came out with a competing product. Google came out with Google Forms, right? So someone, a friend of mine emailed me, "Hey, did you see that? You're now competing with Google." And, the challenge just got bigger. Like if I continue like this, I will never improve Jotform. We are going to stay as where we are. We are going to stay as a small company. We are never going to be like great. And I had to find a solution. And as I'm a programmer, the solution was automation. And I started building all these automations. Like we streamlined our product development. I solved my email problem. Like I was spend all my day in emails. I was able to reduce that to 2 hours. Like I can also explain like how I did that, like this automation solution I developed. I did all that, and that made a big difference. And I was able to, spend my time on the important things. Important things like, you're also a business owner, right? What's important? Your product is the most important thing. Like making a great product is the most important thing. What else is important? Like growing your product, reaching new customers, like making sure your existing customers are happy. It's like the EMIT book, right? Working on your business, opposed to in your business. And if you want to design your business, if you want to work on your business, like you have to have this free time. And I was able to accomplish this by automating things. And the rest is history. Today, Jotform has 600 employees, like 20 million users, and it has grown to like 7 different cities. Like we have offices in 7 different cities, so it's become quite successful. And I feel like I'm this is because of the automation, and because automation helped me, because automation helped my company, because we were also helping people automate things. So it's not just automating things within our company, but it's also like providing automation tools to our customers. And because automation was so helpful for me, like I thought, hey, I gotta write about this. And I've been writing a blog for a very long time. I write articles for Entrepreneur and Fast Company and my own blog and Medium. So I thought, why not, write a book about this? Like, and I see that people are struggling. Like people see, like they're in the middle of this ocean, like maybe in an island in the middle of the ocean, they see all this water. Maybe it's not a good example, and they are thirsty. And because, they can see this automation revolution going on and this AI revolution going on, but applying that revolution in practical terms is not that easy. How can we make this easy for people, like people who are not technical, people who are, just they're like overwhelmed with busy work? How can I help those people? And that's been actually my mission with Jotform. But I also wanted to help people with a book. So that's why I wrote the Automate Your Busy Work book, and that just came out a couple of months ago. And it's been quite successful. We were on the Wall Street Journal.
I saw that,
and some other bestseller list. So
you're competing against one of my good friends on that Wall Street Journal list. So that's why I knew. I was laughing because his book's in there, and we're working on his next one. And he's like, "Hey, look at this!" So. But it is really true, and I think you're right. I think it's like we are floating on a boat on the ocean, and we're sitting on top of all this water, and we're thirsty.
Yeah.
And automation has been a piece. I think it's interesting, and I talk about this a lot, and I've been talking about it a lot more because as the market is changing. I like to say in the automation, operations automation business, our busiest time is when we start to go into a recession, because everybody focuses on top line revenue forever and ever and ever until they can't get more top line revenue. And then they say, I wonder if we got any waste in this thing. So I believe that what we're seeing in the industry right now is a lot of companies that their CEOs are saying, you know what, people are expensive now. It didn't used to be that way. I could throw bodies at a problem and just keep throwing bodies and bodies. I can't do that anymore. Number one, the bodies are more expensive. Number two, I can't get them. We do a lot of work in call centers, and nobody wants to work in a call center anymore. I mean, that's just an industry that no one is interested in working in because it's very tedious work. Pretty much everybody is yelling at you. Every conversation is somebody telling you what an asshole you are. And it's like, it's not a great feel. So finding ways to automate those processes and make them simple, allow people to do what people are really good at, but all of this other stuff, get it the heck out of there and get it in automated as much as you possibly can. That doesn't mean that you have to automate everything. It just means let's try to find as many of these bottlenecks as possible and break them down with some level of automation, because busy work isn't real work. I mean, it's really not. I say this all the time that I used to call it the work waste paradox. And I would say only a fraction of the time spent at work is actually work. If I define work as something that's moving the organization forward, what I'm going to find when I look at somebody's 40 hours is they might spend 5 hours a week moving the organization forward and 35 hours digging themselves out of the hole, with paperwork and looking for things. I hear this from CEOs all the time. I say, if there's one thing about your business that you could eliminate, what would it be? And you know what they say? It's email. They're just like, I am just inundated all day, every day with email. And I'd love to hear that part of your story, because that was, you hit the nail on the head. And I know there's some people listening. Russ, I know you're listening. One of my good friends that always talks about email is like the bane of his existence. I'd love to hear more about that, because I think we all struggle with this.
Yeah, the average office worker receives 175 emails a day, and I receive hundreds of emails a day. And I was spending like so much time in my emails that I wanted to find a solution. And I started looking for all these like different email products. So I think I tried like 10 different products and nothing worked for me. But I think that research was, and one of my items in principles in the automation first mindset that I talk about in the book is making time to save time, taking the time to do research, all the products, all the features available on those products available. So I did this research and I was like unsatisfied. I tried them. I took a lot of time. Like there are products that they say they use AI and things like that, but nothing really worked for me.
Yeah.
But that research was really useful, because I was able to figure out exactly what I was looking for. And what I was looking for was very simple. What I want is, I don't want to see my email inbox in a date order. What I want to see is, I want to see my emails in priority order. Like the top email should be the top priority email. The second one is the second top priority. And then the very bottom email should be it's like spam or something that I don't want to see. I wanted to find a way so that I can see my emails in this order. If I could accomplish this, then, I don't have to worry about emails, because, as I process my emails, I take care of the most important emails first. So once I understood that this is what I need, there was no products like this. But then, I looked at Gmail again, because we use Gmail for our company, corporate emails as well. Even though we use our own domain name, we use Gmail at the back end. And when I looked at it, Gmail actually has all these great filtering and labeling features. So what I did was, I started creating these filters. So let's say, and I decided I'm going to have 3 labels: L1, L2, L3, like level 1, level 2, and level 3. And the top, high priority emails should go to level 1, and the emails that are directly communicated to me should be like, if I should reply back to them, that should go to level 2, and the rest of the emails that I care about should go to level 3, and the rest of the emails, like emails that I shouldn't care about, just they should stay in my inbox. But here's the most important part. I never go to my email inbox directly. What I have is I have these bookmarks in my browser, and if I click on L1, I will just go to my L1 inbox. And if our head of HR sends me an email, that goes to L1. If my publisher is Wiley, if someone from Wiley emails me, it's going to go to L1. So I have all these filters, so the top priority email goes there. So I'm between meetings, for example, I have 10 minutes, I just open my L1, I clean it up, I answer all these emails. And I know that I process the most important email for me, because I was spending all my day in emails, and that was very unproductive, because I was constantly looking at the same things. I was constantly trying to find that email, trying to see what's happening. It was very disorganized. This way, the emails are organized, and I can process them by importance. And you can do this in any way. If you can have different 5 levels, or you can have 2 levels. And I use this system in my personal emails as well, my personal email account as well. So it works really well.
I wanted to let you know that my 4th book just dropped this week. It's called Adaptagility. It's a relatively short read, and I encourage you to pick it up and read through it. Right now, we are going through a period of time where change has become constant, and we have to prepare ourselves and our business for that new reality. With AI on the horizon, you have to be able to be agile and adaptable to the trends that are coming in the marketplace. I wrote this book specifically for you and for people that are interested in AI and need to understand how to prepare themselves and their business for the amount of change we're about ready to experience. Listen, we have evolved as a species over the course of a long period of time, and there are things that are intrinsic to our biology and our genome that we cannot overcome in just a single generation or so. With AI as prevalent as it is right now, it is critical that you pick this book up. It's about $8 over on Amazon, and I would encourage you to read it a couple of times, share it with your friends, and think long and hard about how to make change inside your organization in the era of AI. I will tell you a little tip that I have been teaching CEOs for years, something that I did years ago that made a huge difference for me when it came to email. That is, I went to my IT department and I said, any internal email that gets sent to me from our domain, employees that send me anything, if the words "see below" are included in the email, immediately delete it from the server. I will not allow somebody to make me do all their work, right? Because you probably had these. Somebody forwards you something and says, "Here's 635 emails. Tell me what you think about this."
Yeah.
I don't have 45 minutes to read through it. So it was interesting because the first couple of times somebody came to my office and said, or called me and said, "I'm desperately waiting for you to reply because I sent this to you." And I say, "Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not able to get those type of emails. If you can't summarize it for me and give me a headline and an outline and what I need to respond with, it's not going to ever. I can't even see it. It's not permitted inside the company." And I just had a CEO this last week, 600 employees, and I told him this, and he was like, "The second you leave my office, my IT guy better be in here because we're making that rule. See below sucks, so don't do it to each other." And I do think a lot of times, and this is where I think automation is moving. I had a really great guest the other day, and we talked about this idea of using AI. And empowering your devices inside your organization, giving them access to LLMs so that they can start to communicate with you. And one of the things he said, the biggest sign of inefficiency is the volume of email that we send. Because for the most part, if you really break email down, a lot of it is It's either updates or information, it's status reports, it's keeping each other in the loop. And the information is there. It's just divergent, right? It's all over the place. And it's like if I send something to my assistant, I say, "Can you do some research on this? And then can you get these people's phone number? And can you reach out and you find out if they can meet me, if they can pick me up at the airport?" There's just so much communication that needs to happen, and it feels like all we are doing anymore is we're just communicating between the forums, right? The data's all there, and the people are just moving all of keeping all that communication lines open.
So the idea of sorting email by priority, like top priority, it kind of applies to everything else, right? Like in your business, like, you want to actually work on the most important thing, and then you want to work on the next important thing. And it's just, and I talk about the Eisenhower matrix in the book.
Oh, and I love that.
I really believe in that. And so basically, did you know that Eisenhower actually didn't come up with the Eisenhower matrix? It was actually...
Oh, really? No, that's great.
Stephen Covey, on the book, The 7 Habits of the Highly Successful People, he actually came up with that. But Eisenhower actually had a quote, and the quote is actually very powerful as well. There are two kinds of problems, urgent and important. Urgent are not usually important, and the important are not usually like very important is not very visible or something like that. So I missed the end of that. But but the idea is that but the Eisenhower matrix is actually like really making that visible. So in the Eisenhower matrix, we have the important and not important. So we have 4 quadrants. Let's say on the horizontal line, we have the important, not important. On the vertical line, we have the urgent and not urgent. If something is really urgent and important, you're going to take care of that. And they don't happen a lot. Like, someone is sick, something like, really affecting your business, like affecting a lot of customers. You fix that quickly, right? So that's not really a big issue. The big problem is most of the things in our businesses they seem urgent, even in our personal lives. They are very time sensitive. They seem urgent, but they are not important. And we are spending all our day with these urgent and not important things. And the most important things, like the important but not urgent things, are always left for the tomorrow. Like I can take care of this tomorrow. Like I have all these urgent things. Like if this customer is like, screaming at us or something, it's important to take care of customers. But, there are very important things that if you keep like leaving to tomorrow, at some point they're going to affect your business. It's going to affect, more than one customer. It's going to affect everything. So that's why, I don't really believe in like to-do lists. I have a different kind of strategy that I call hunter's strategy. So in the old days, like people, very, very old ages, right? When they woke up, they didn't look at their to-do list and, I'm going to, they didn't check their emails. They don't look at their to-do list. They were hungry,
right? Sure. Yeah.
They had to like either, hunt, or they had to like, collect nuts or something, right? So it's just, they're hungry because they wake up hungry. So that's what I do. Like in the morning, I send my kids to school and, I go to gym, take my shower, have my coffee. Perfect, right? I'm ready for the day. And I can do different things. Like I can open my emails. That will ruin my whole day because it's just all that like great energy I have. Like I'm really excited about the day, and I'm ready to go. I'm creative. I'm not tired. And if I open my emails and I start processing my emails, then I'm wasting all that energy. But instead, if I can, just decide like what's the most important thing for me. What am I going to hunt today, right? Am I going to, strategize about business? Am I going to, think about, a feature in our product that's really important, like how we can improve it? Am I going to work on a chapter in my book, right? It's whatever is the most important, not the urgent. Urgents are left for me afternoon. Like, I start working on my urgent list, in the afternoon. And they are usually not urgent because if something urgent, like a lot of people are calling me anyways, right? So, if it's just an email that says, we have an urgent issue, it's not really urgent that much. Like if it's a big urgent thing that I would be aware of.
They would call.
So yeah,
You'd see the smoke and you would know, right?
this is the way to really be able to, because it's just like so many things require our attention. Like we are bombarded with all these like different things, and it's just like we have to take care of so many things. Like we receive hundreds of emails, and it's just you have to take control. And the way to take control is like you time box it. You time box your mornings or whatever is the best time for you. Maybe it's the nighttime. I don't know, but it's different for different people. But if you time box it, and if you say, okay, here is my time, I'm going to work on my most important things. And I also use the I don't know if you know the book Julia Cameron. It's the book about journals, like morning pages. Basically, it's an idea that you basically start, whatever comes to your mind, you start writing about it, and then and as time went on, like you actually figure out what's the most important item for you to really take care of. So what I do is every morning I'm going to launch IA Writer. It's an editor on Mac, and I have this like a nice Mac monitor, like those 4K monitors, and just launch it, and it's like a complete black screen and a cursor blinking, and I'm and I start typing. If I don't know what I'm going to hunt, I start typing, and some days I'm not feeling like I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling confused, or I don't feel like I know what I need to work on. What's the most important thing that I need to take care of? But when I start writing, when I start putting all those stuff from my brain to the paper, to virtual paper on the black screen, that kind of lifts it up, and then I start really understanding what I need to work on, and I discover what I'm going to hunt that day, and I start working on that. And that time box, I don't look at my emails until I work like 2 hours that way. That's and I started the day very productively. I know that I accomplished something important for that day, and then after that I can start my meetings. I can start my processing my emails, things like that. But I want to make sure that I time box the most important part of the day. And this strategy
that is great.
Worked well for me. Why you want to automate is because you want to save your brain for the big stuff, you want to you want to automate the most the stuff that's really taking your time, your energy, that are not really important. You want to figure that out, and you want to automate those parts. And in the book, I have this strategy that I called the time audit. So you could use your iPhones, for example, the clock app, to create alarms, and like every top of the hour, you make a note of how you spend the last hour, and you could use a spreadsheet for this. And if you do this for a week, at the end of the week, you can total that up, and then you find, okay, I spent 20 hours processing my emails. I spent this amount of time, calling people, things like that. So it's just you have all this information there, right? And you add them up. But the next part is more important. You ask yourself 2 questions: what should I spend my time on, and what shouldn't I spend my time on? And the second question is more important. The time you spend on
way more
unimportant things is not, they're not just taking your time, but they are sucking up your energy. They are sucking up your motivation. You are feeling tired, and you don't have the energy for the important things. And they are usually urgent as well. Like they just, they come up to you, and then you have to take care of them. And by the time you start working on the important things, like you feel like you're already tired, like you don't have energy for them. So it's, if you can automate those, like if you can,
those are great,
those things. Like, as you mentioned, like, you mentioned before this, podcast, when we were talking about it, you mentioned about some, delegate, automate.
Automate, outsource, abbreviate, eliminate. And that's exactly what you're talking about doing. Is it's like, if you can't automate it, can I get somebody else to do it? Can I abbreviate it? Can I break it down into steps? Or do I really need to do this? I mean, I'm not a big to-do list fan myself, but one of the things I ask CEOs that I work with to do is create a not to-do list. Because what they'll find is if I put and I love your time audit. And it's funny because in my email this morning, I'm working with an IT company saying I need to audit the calendars of every executive in this organization. And I want to know down to the second how much time they spend in meetings. And then I'm going to create a calculator that says, and we have one meeting that we're already seeing it cost about $75,000 a week to run the meeting. So, and they don't want to have an agenda. They're like, we just want to keep it open. And I'm like, okay, then you just need to understand how many millions of dollars that takes out of your pocket if you don't do it that way. I'm okay if you can make the conscious decision that you're okay spending $300,000 a month inefficiently, I'm with you. That's your money. You can do what you want, but at least know what it costs you. At least know what the inefficiency is costing. And I think you're so dead on with this concept of this time audit. And here I am as also an expert in this field, and I'm making 3 pages of notes going, yeah, I could do better myself, right? I mean, that's the great part about automation is it is a continuous improvement journey that never ends. I'm a big fan of Deming and Taiichi Ono, who created the sort of Lean Six Sigma model. And there's this story, who knows if it's true or not, about Taiichi Ono that says that he used to say that once we have perfected a process and everybody is unanimous that it cannot improve at all anymore, there is still 57% inefficiency in it. Once it's been unanimous and all the experts have said it's no way can it ever get better, there's still 57% that we can improve upon because we don't look at all of the little things that go into it. I love, we've used Fitbits for years in our business where we put Fitbits on people and at the end of the day, we ask them to tell us how many steps they walk. And when I have companies reporting back an average of 26,000 steps a day, and I start to say, do you realize that your people do a half a marathon just walking around the office? Something is not right. I mean, yes, if we fix this, everybody's going to gain 25 pounds, but let's give them a gym membership. Like, let's figure this out. And so I'm very passionate about this topic, and I think it's some incredible ideas in here. This hunter strategy is something that I can learn a lot from. I'd love to talk about how, and it sounds like you like me have created some strategies to improve your efficacy. And now we're moving into an era of AI where we've got some potential here to go much further, because we can turn LLMs on. We can think about things a little bit different. I'd love to hear your perspectives on that, and maybe even talk a little bit about how Jotform is looking at the future of AI automation.
I mean, we have been talking about this problem, the priority problem, like how can we work on the most important things? How can we automate the rest? And we are living in this. We are so lucky. We are living in this great age of, like we are in the middle of these 3 revolutions. So the first one is software is eating the world. And this was actually said by Mark Andreessen about more than a decade ago. And basically what he was saying is like everything is turning into software because software is so much better, because software is flexible. Software provides so many more options. It makes everything much more, increases the performance of everything. With cars, cars are turning into, software because software gives us, so much more, features, opportunities for improvement. Everything is actually turning, like every industry is turning into software. And for example, like travel agents, like in the past, like if you want to go to a place, right, you go to a travel agent, you say, I want to go to a warm place. And today you have all these options, like, you can pick where you want to stay. You can, look at these beautiful Airbnb houses and, find a place that fits well for you. You can arrange your vacation as you wish. Like you can decide where you want to go, how long you want to stay, which hotels or like places are best. So you have the freedom. So the software that actually gives the people the freedom. It democratizes, all these options for people, because in the past, like, you have to go through someone else, a third party, to be able to accomplish things. And the second revolution is really related to this, but I think it's so important that we need to, think about it as a separate revolution, which is the SaaS/cloud slash no-code revolution. So it's Jotform is a no-code product. So basically, when you use Jotform, you have so many options. Like, you can customize things, you can build your own form, you can add all these options, you can create condition logic, show different questions. From the data you receive from the forms, you can generate reports, custom reports, generate documents like PDF files automatically on the fly. So you can actually do lots of different automations, and it's all SaaS service. It's all done by the end user, and you don't have to be technical to do this. Like, you don't have to code. It's no code. And Jotform is just one of the thousands of SaaS products. If you go to a website like g2.com, you're gonna find in every area, if you go to e-signatures, you're gonna find 300. I know, because we also released Jotform Sign, and we were thinking, oh, okay, we are gonna release Jotform Sign. Let's look at who are we gonna compete, and then there were 300, 500 different products, sign products.
Wow.
And they all do different things well. And in the past, if you had to do automation for your company, you had to be a big company, and you would go to SAP or Oracle or some company, and they would automate everything for millions of dollars. They would build everything for you, and but you are stuck with those very ugly interfaces. But today, it's the SaaS businesses actually democratize all these products. So any small business can go, and just for $29 a month, they can actually find a product, use it, and all these products are also connected to each other. So it's like you can use Zapier or Make, so that you can connect all these products. When we do user research, when we talk to people who use Jotform, we see solutions they get someone fills the form, and then Zapier sends them to Gmail, and then that triggers an automated email, and that triggers some other product. Like they connect 10 different products to each other, and they build these automations. And I'm like, wow, how are they doing all these things? And all these people, they're not technical. They're just trying to accomplish things in their business. They're
trying to solve problems. Yeah. Sure.
So
that's incredible.
And this is growing. Yeah. And the third revolution is obviously the AI revolution. And AI revolution is also making all these, those two revolutions much more powerful, because all these cloud products are also adding AI within their products. So AI is also making all these SaaS products more powerful, much more successful. But there is also all these new AI products that are coming out, like ChatGPT just changed everything, right? You can, instead of writing something, you can just go to ChatGPT, and then it will write something creative for you. It's amazing. Yeah. And all these, all these self-driving cars and everything, it's just suddenly AI is making a big difference in every area we look at. And it's hard to see even 5 or 10 years from now, what's going to happen. But I feel like these three revolutions are going to help people become much more powerful. Yeah. They are going to, just like SaaS or software eating the world is powering all these small businesses, so that they can actually, one person can do all these different things with the help of automation. It gives them superpowers. It's you get these superpowers, and with a low number of people, you can accomplish much bigger things. And AI is also gives you even bigger superpowers. And so I'm actually on the positive side. There are some people who are worried about AI taking the jobs, but I'm actually thinking, I feel like we are already bombarded with busy work, and everyone is like under so much busy work that AI is going to actually lift that, and it's going to help us lift, all those weight. We are going to be able to automate more things, and we are going to be able to accomplish more things. I'm sure we are going to have more and more busy work, but because we are going to be able to accomplish more things, I think we are going to be more valuable. So instead of losing our jobs, I think if we adapt, if we learn, if we research, if we go with the times, we are going to be able to become like 10 times or 100 times more productive. And this is great for your career, for the listeners, to be able to accomplish more with the help of AI or software. And in Jotform, like, people just, many people who work in different businesses, they just come to Jotform and then they start using Jotform. It's not like a business decision, like just someone working in an office, they need to do something and they get tired of doing the busy work and they say, okay, I'm going to just create a form and just take care of all these things. And then, they use their corporate credit card. We have a free version. So it's, it's just, it helps the individuals, right? It's instead of that person becoming useless, that person is actually becoming much more valuable, because now that instead of doing all those things, the forms are taking care of many things, and that person can actually work on more valuable things. And even within Jotform,
so true.
When we use our own forms, like, we became much more productive, and we were able to streamline things, and it makes a big difference. Automation is like a solution. It's a big solution. Yeah,
it really is, Aytekin. And I think, one of the things that we do a lot of times when we walk into companies, one of the first questions I ask CEOs is, how many different places do we have to keep this information? And I tell the story, years ago, we worked with a financial services company, and these employees were $100,000+ a year employees. And we found that not only did they put the information in Salesforce, they each of them maintained 13 other spreadsheets to keep track of different information. And some of that was because Salesforce wasn't properly optimized. They didn't have the right permissions. They didn't have the right report settings in place. Some of it was, well, that's the way we've always done it. and some of it, I think, was just lazy. Nobody ever saying this is ridiculous. And I see this all the time. I think when you're able to use an automated solution that can pass that information through the process for you, what you get is a lot less errors. Many times it is shocking. We work a lot in the medical industry. You'd be surprised how much money your doctor's office loses because they mistyped one of the numbers in the Social Security number, or they put the wrong middle initial, or they spelled the name, partly incorrectly, and then it goes to insurance, and insurance rejects it, and we don't catch it in time, and then we're refiling paperwork, and the window closes, and now our $20,000 surgery we don't get reimbursed for because we screwed up the paperwork. And each one of those things is just that manual data entry piece, that busy work piece that keeps things going. I think there's another concept that I don't know if you mentioned this in your book at all, but it's called, is it Parkinson's Law or Robinson's Law? I always mess this one up, that work always expands to fit the time allotted for it. And what that really means is that if I say it takes 20 hours, magically it takes 20 hours. If I say it takes 2, somehow we get it done in 2 because we fill up that time with busy work. We see this, and we actually had a client just this last week where we had a process that one of their people did. It was measured at 32 hours a week. We automated that process, and the mistake that the company made was they never went to the person who got that 32 hours a week back and said, here's what we need you to do. So the other 8 hours a week, she figured out how to expand that work to fill the 40 hours. And it's like, okay, so when we do automate, we have to remember that automation is the first piece. Then we have to be able to say, what kind of increase in capacity did we create in the system by automating? And then we have to assign new work. We have to rebalance the workload.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, they will. And when they do, it will not be with the things that we want. It'll be the busy work piece.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you see AI playing into the future of Jotform? Is that something you're starting to look at? I mean, in a lot of senses, because you are bringing data together, people can certainly, with APIs, can certainly start to build on top of this. Is that something you're looking at internally as well? Is that part of the overall strategy? Or like I would say, and I, if it isn't, it makes sense, because I think some of us are still sort of waiting for the next generation, because the last ChatGPT opened a lot of eyes. Me in particular, I'm a writer as well. My last book just recently came out, and I've been trying to figure out how to automate a lot of my workflow. So I've been doing that. But the reality is, a lot of entrepreneurs' ideas around AI aren't going to come out till next year, because they're in the development stage of that. So I'd love to hear, where do you guys see AI fitting into your stack, and how do you go forward?
AI is the ultimate automation. So, and because of that, we actually use AI in the backend more when we need to. For example, one of the big problems we have is like with phishing, and catching all those phishing forms that try to steal, information from others.
Yes.
And in those cases, we use AI to catch them. We had a problem with abusers, like sending spam using Jotform, and then we tried all these different tactics over the years, and we would close some hole where they could find a way to use Jotform to send hundreds of thousands of emails, and then we would fix that, and they would find another solution. But at the end, when we actually applied AI, like when we started using machine learning, we were able to completely eradicate the spam problem. So I think we are using the AI more on the back end than on the front end, as for the user, for the people who are actually creating the forms. So we have some ideas about the product that are we are kind of building. But I think for us, it's more important that the usability of the product is more important. So we don't want to just release something that we are not sure. So it's just it's on the works. But I think the idea is that whenever someone is doing some repetitive work, and because at Jotform, we have been building this automation product for so long that we have been already preventing the repetitive work, that it's harder to find those opportunities. Still,
well, I mean, in a lot of senses, you're. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. In a lot of senses, Jotform is an ingredient brand. Yeah. You're selling the sugar to the people who are baking the cakes, right? So it's more about what the user in the end ends up doing with it, and saying, how do I apply AI automation to the Jotform process that I've created, and how to and I think that's the next big thing, is giving language to forms, right? Actually allowing a conglomerate of forms, because it's interesting, the business that you're in, because I do sort of look at automation, and many times I talk about this as, we started with paper forms, right? That's how the world worked. Well, we started with stone tablets, and that wasn't efficient. So we went to the papyrus, right? Then we went to the paper form. And then even if you look at all of the first iterations of software, it was essentially digital forms. Yeah. It was, the forms like that. And then we got GUIs, right? That sort of let us do a little bit more. And now we've got AI that can potentially not only communicate with all those forms, but give those forms language, and actually say to them, what is the innate intelligence that is found in the information and the data that you hold in your database? Yeah. And can I empower you with some level of language, so that instead of communicating with you via email, right? But I can just ask the question of Alexa, and I shouldn't say Alexa or Siri when I'm on, because it'll pick up someplace in the house. But I can ask an AI assistant and say, hey, look, tell me a little bit about our form submissions this last month. Well, it's interesting. Most of them are coming from Georgia, and most of them are doing this, and the time it's taking people to fill out forms is a little longer than it usually is. And all of a sudden, you can start to get some data intelligence and some business intelligence that you're never going to get by just looking at a database full of data. Exactly. I think that's where there's this incredible future that's coming. And I'm excited that you're right in the middle of this, right? Because you're automating so much of this on the back end already.
We are also
tell folks a little bit more about how they can, how can people find your book? I mean, I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. That's where I got it. Is that the best? I mean, maybe tell a little bit about the book as we sort of close up here, and
book,
and how to find out about
your busy work is available on like bookstores like Barnes and Noble and Amazon, and I also have a website. So my first name, last name.com, Aytekintank.com. There's actually a free chapter. You can read the free chapter without registering or anything. Just go there and read the free chapter, and you can actually see the charts and stuff, and find information about the book on my website, and and see if it's helpful for you. Then you can get it on Amazon. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Aytekin Tank, folks, and make sure you continue to tune in to all of these episodes as we continue to talk about automation and AI. All right. Another great episode. I always love talking to smart people, and particularly smart, successful people that have been doing this for almost 20 years. Aytekin started that business in 2006. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Hey, make sure you're checking out all of our socials. We're all over the place. We've got a lot of content that doesn't make it here on the show, some professionally produced content, some other podcasts I'm involved in, including a really exciting new one called The Realm of Possibilities, with an old friend of mine and a very well-known CMO who's done, he's a, I don't want to say he's a household brand, but the brands that he has helped build in the past, Kevin Myers. And he and I have been friends for almost 20 years. And recently he asked me to co-host a show with him. I'm excited about that show, The Realm of Possibilities. You can check it out. We'll make sure that we link to that as well. All right. Until next time, make sure you check out the processfixer.com website. Check out the things that we're doing, the thought leadership around automation and AI. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Convergence. If you want more information about the topics you've heard here today, reach out to us at theconvergencepodcast.com.